Hi everyone, welcome to Chrysalis on the Couch. My name's Joanna Williams. I'm a tutor for Chrysalis, a first year tutor, and tonight's topic is the spice of life. So I am welcoming today Kirsty Knight, Reva Penn and Linda Hilditch, and I'm going to ask those guys to introduce themselves to you right now. So if we go around quickly, Kirsty, can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Well, as you said, my name's Kirsty Knight. I'm a year 2 and a year 3 tutor for Chrysalis. I've been doing that now for a couple of years. Absolutely love it. Really enjoy it. Love the interface with the students, and I think the integrative syllabus is brilliant. So I get a lot from teaching as much as hopefully the students get from learning. So yeah, I really love it.
Super, brilliant. Thanks for joining us on this webcast.
Pleasure.
Well, Reva, can you tell us a bit about you?
Hi, well, obviously, I'm Reva. I'm nearly coming to the end of my third year of training at Chrysalis. Looking forward to qualifying at the end of it and doing the best what I can, to get through it and to help other people. Really enjoying it. But yeah, it's just, I think the last few months are sort of, I'm getting sort of a little bit twitchy. I think I just want to get it finished and, get there.
Yeah, I think that's really common, Reva. I think when you get towards the end.
Yeah.
You want to get out and start working with
clients. Start working properly,
yeah. I think that's a good sign. That's a really good sign.
Yeah.
And welcome. And Linda, can you tell us a bit about you before we start, please?
Yeah, I'm Linda. I'm a student interviewer. So I interviewed the students for Chrysalis, and I've done that now for, it's coming up to 18 months I've done that. I thoroughly enjoy that. I also trained with Chrysalis, so I'm an ex-Chrysalis student. And I also work in private practice, as well as doing the interviewing.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Brilliant. So a mix of roles here this evening and experiences. And I should say as well, if you enjoy the webcast when you watch it, please do remember to like and subscribe to the channel, and then you'll get the reminders of the next one. And I'll tell you at the end what the next one's going to be about as well. So you said you trained with Chrysalis, Linda, and so did I. And we know Reva's training with Chrysalis, and Kirsty, did you as well? So we all trained with Chrysalis as well.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. So we've kind of come the same route and maybe ended up or are ending up in slightly different places. So tonight's theme is the spice of life. So I'm really interested in this idea of portfolio careers. Somebody referred to me as a slashy, which sounds horrible, doesn't it? But you're slash something, slash. It's like you're a counsellor slash interviewer slash something else. I know it's an awful term. I prefer portfolio career myself. So I'm quite interested in that, and I'm always interested in hearing about what other people do, which is why I've invited you really to find out what else you do alongside, I suppose, your Chrysalis stuff, whatever that may be. So I'm sort of going to go in reverse order now, I think, and ask Linda. So you mentioned interviewing and private practice. Can you say a bit about how they kind of work together?
Well, the interviewing, I absolutely love interviewing, as I'm always telling Clive. And one of the things I like about interviewing is I'm meeting somebody when they're about to start their journey. So you're hearing all about what's inspired them and what they want to do with the qualification, where their life's been. And I find that so interesting. And I feel like I'm part of the beginning of their journey. I'm the first face, really, they see from Chrysalis. And I'm proud to be part of the team because it always feels very family orientated to me as well. And the rest of the guys that I work with up at the office. So in that sense, every single interview is different because everybody's different and they all want different things. So and it gets me excited sometimes, listening to people. On the other side of my work, my private practice, I love hypnotherapy. It's my favourite thing, and I have done extra training there. And where I'm going is really trauma, and it's where I seem to be leading. And I'm halfway through the National Counselling Society doing EDMR. So I'm halfway through it, so I can practice it, but I'm not accredited yet. And I like all that type of stuff. So that's where I'm going career-wise. And then I also have twins who are 15. I'm a single mum as well. And I've inherited a kind of granddad, so I kind of look after him as well. I do his shopping and things like that for him, because his daughter lives quite far away. And I also write. I write poetry as well.
Oh, amazing.
And I have published. I don't think I've sold many, but I enjoyed it. And I want to do more of that, and maybe incorporate my therapy into the poetry, because I started doing that from my hypnotherapy.
Wow.
And from learning about words and realising how the English language, how these words and yeah.
It's so powerful, isn't it, language?
That
is so interesting, Linda, and I am going to jump in here because you and I haven't met until this evening, have we? And I'm a writer as well, so that's
all right.
I do.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and look, I think Kirsty is as well.
All right. 3 writers.
This is fortuitous, isn't it? We didn't plan this. We didn't know this until tonight. Reva, are you a writer as well? Is this now a writing?
No, I'm not. I've led a sort of a bit of a strange lifestyle, really. I dealt with animals for many years, and for some no strange reason, I just decided to go to humans. I spent my young childhood and all that through my my teens farming. Then I did veterinary nursing up until I was in my early 40s. Then I started my own sort of care and cleaning business, just sort of thought, I've had enough of this sort of veterinary bit and what have you. And then I thought, no, actually, I got to a stage in life where I just sort of thought, you know what, I need something else, and so I thought, I reckon counselling would be sort of a good one, because I've suffered from mental health for many years anyway, and so I thought, no, I reckon I could do this, but it's like Linda was saying, I'm heading towards I'd like to do the trauma side of counselling. That would be what I would like to do. I don't just want to sort of stick to mental health or things like that.
You definitely talk more, because that's what I do.
Oh right, yeah.
There you go.
You do that, do you? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't, but trauma, I think that interests me.
Interesting. Yeah.
More.
I was just going to say, Reva, I had, before I started training to be a counsellor, I had a contract cleaning company. So I was like you. So
there are so many coincidences.
Yeah.
Coincidences here, aren't there? Isn't it strange?
I always think I went from cleaning, it was commercial, so it was buildings and things like that, but I went from sorting buildings out to sorting people out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And Reva went from sorting out animals to sorting out buildings.
Yeah.
That's so different, isn't it? In another way, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Many people's routes that they take, and I think
I
was just thinking, Reva, whether you'd go back to animal work as well at some point, because some people use animals in therapy, don't they?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I still do a bit with animals and what have you. The vet surgery that I used to work at, every now and again I get called back in, and I like it, but it's not something I would want to go back to full time. It's so unsociable, hours and what have you, weekends and night duties. I've gone past that now. I've been doing it for too long, so I've had enough of it. So yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't not be with animals, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. It wasn't until I had to go for counselling. Must have been about 5 years ago, and she said, "Oh, you know, we won't be able to fit you in. You know, we're really struggling because obviously there aren't enough counsellors out there to help people." This is probably about 5 years ago, and I thought, you know what? Actually, because I know sort of what people go through, because obviously I've been through it myself and what have you, I think actually I could, you know, I have a good understanding of what people sort of feel and think. So that's why I went for this sort of, you know, and the first year was obviously hypnotherapy, and to start with, I thought, oh, right, okay, hypnotherapy is not really my thing.
Yeah.
But
I
actually,
thought exactly the same.
but actually, I thought it was really interesting. I thought it was really good. Yeah, it was. Yeah, really sort of. Yeah, I thought it was very good. Excellent. Yeah, yeah. And you definitely learn about yourself, because I know my tutor sort of like said to me on the first day that I went to uni. She goes, "This will make you a different person by the end of this." And I thought, how did she work that out? What does she mean by that? You know, but actually, yeah, I do, and a lot of people have noticed that I am a different person now. Yeah,
yeah. And more to come. There's always more change and development to come, isn't there? When
yeah.
Forward, so that's what's exciting about it, really, about this
life,
isn't it? You find out things about yourself all the time.
Yeah, you do.
And it leads you down unexpected paths sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
And something I think sometimes it can be very subtle of you realise that I'm clocking that I'm thinking about that differently or reacting to that differently.
Yeah.
So it's the subtleties rather than some people have it hit them like a truck, doesn't it? You know, and turn around and say, "Oh, massive light bulb moments." But you know, some people are on the flip side of that, and it's the smaller little moments, as I call them. You know, I won't say what I actually call them, but it's those contemplative
moments.
Yes. If anybody's seen Friends and knows about Joey's smell, then that's what I call the
one of those moments.
Moments. You know, and I think it's those moments as well. Then you have that subtle realization that there's been a shift here, and you know it's quite interesting to process that, and then, as you say, Reva, see where it comes in and how you then run with that. I think that's really, I think that's quite fascinating, really.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah. What's happened for you, Kirsty, in terms of like where you've come from when you finished your training, and sort of where you thought you would be career-wise, and what you're doing now, the mix of things that you're doing?
The mix is crazy. I'm the same as you, Joanna. I've got a portfolio of things that I do. I also run my own private practice where I do hypnotherapy and talking therapies. I'm also qualified in EMDR. So Linda, you and I, again, trauma. I'm ex-military. I've had a very, very varied career before coming to therapy, and it was personal issues with, you know, that sort of got me thinking there has to be a better way. I have to understand this more, and that really set me on my path. I wanted to do something where I would learn a lot of different techniques and theories. I didn't want to specialize in one. I wanted a bigger toolbox, so that's why I chose to train with Chrysalis. And I was like you, Reva, the first year when they said, "Oh, you know, you have to do hypnotherapy before you can get," and I get through it, you know, I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it was.
And it's so helpful, even just the background knowledge that it gives you, the understanding, the foundation, which is obviously why Chrysalis do you know, that process the way they do.
Yeah.
But as I say, I run my own private practice. I also run with a colleague a training collaboration where we do mental health awareness training for both individuals, groups, children. We work with children with ADHD. I also am a creative therapist. I work with a school in my local area with kids with additional needs. So they have Asperger's, ADHD, attention deficit, things like that. But I also do a lot of trauma work with ex-military, and also just, you know what, general public, you know, because the amount of trauma that's around, EMDR is fascinating. I absolutely adore it. I'm actually going to be a master practitioner in it by the end of this year, which I'm really looking forward to. But equally, I love doing the workshops that we do. I love doing the training collaborations that we do. So I've got lots of irons in the fire as well. And the literary stuff that I do is actually, my family live all over the UK. And at the time, my couple of my nieces live down in London, and I have dogs. They're my fur babies. I don't have kids. I have dogs. So I started writing stories about the adventures of my dogs on the farm that I used to live on. And then I started to incorporate all the different animals that were on the farm, and my little Maisie Munchkin having adventures, and it turned into 25,000 words. And I'm in the process of now actually splitting them up into stories that hopefully I might just self-publish. I don't know, but I love writing them because it's, you know, but one of the things that for me is variety. I like the variety that I have. I don't like the same day twice. Yeah.
No. Yeah.
But it takes a lot to get there. So I think, you know, lots of irons in the fire, but also if they don't come off straight away, then you shouldn't be, you know, deterred by that. It's a case of, okay, maybe I just need to think of a different way to do it, or a different way round of doing it, or something like that, you know. But I mean, I'm now doing things like the EMDR that I absolutely, right at the outset, I knew I wanted to qualify in, but I had to wait for the right time.
It can't all come at once, can it? It does kind of, doesn't it?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I absolutely love and adore what I do now. I mean, yes, I've been a senior manager in organisations and things like that, but, you know, dealing with 50-year-old toddlers is no fun.
No.
So it was background. Well, I can relate to that.
I think that's one of the things that you said, and I think a lot of therapists, they have their fingers in many pies, and you can kind of move, and so it's never boring. There's always new things that you can do, and that's what I like about it, is that like with the EDMR, I started doing that last year, and like you, as soon as I start, it's very person centered, isn't it? And I'm quite person centered.
Yeah.
It's kind of a little bit like hypnotherapy in the way you work it, and yeah, it's great. I like that. So I like all the trauma side of it. For Reva, starting off, I think, and when you start to get referrals, when you're starting off, it is, you know, it's a big industry in terms of all the different areas. And I think when you start to get people who approach you, you know, and they say things like, oh, you treated my friend or my sister, or, you know, and they come to you, you've been recommended. That's just the best feeling in the world.
But that
somebody else has, you know, especially you're working with vulnerable people, value the time and the service, and then somebody else is coming to you, and that's what I find really fulfilling in as a career.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think something you just said, Linda, I thought was really interesting about how we can be, we can be quite flexible as therapists, can't we, in terms of what we apply ourselves to. And it just brought up for me, I was just wondering whether part of what we're learning when we train, and part of that change in ourselves that you guys talked about as well, is maybe it's inherent in us that we are flexible and we are kind of able to kind of flow between different ways of working as well. And maybe that's a function of the sort of training that we've done, of the sort of personalities even that we have that have led us to this work. So I wonder if it's sort of inherent or natural to us that we commit ourselves to a few different things. And it is certainly handy, isn't it? Because I think, certainly personally, it was never really my intention to be a full-time therapist as such. I always wanted to be a therapist but I think for most people, I don't think it's controversial to say to be just a therapist full time, sort of 40 hours a week would be, for me, it would be a stretch, just emotionally. I would find that a stretch. Like I said, I like variety, so I like doing a few different things. So yeah, I do wonder if it's sort of in us that we seek lots of interesting and stimulating different things.
Well, that's why I like CPD, because I think, for me, you can dip in and out of a subject matter, because if something interests you, you don't have to spend a massive amount of money, because obviously when you're starting out, you've done your training, but you're starting out, you're not earning a lot of money yet and all this lot. But that's why I love CPD, the fact that you can read a book or watch something online, as long as it's relevant and it's qualified to for CPD and stuff. But you can dip in and out of things, and I might give that a go. So you go on a CPD for it, and well, actually no, it kind of wasn't what I thought, but you've got some CPD hours and you've got that back in your toolbox as well. So you don't unlearn what you learn, do you? Because it's always going to be there. I mean, I did an extra hypnotherapy chunk on past life regression, because that fascinates me. But nobody around here wants to do it. So I've never, I've only managed to practice it on 2 people, which I'm sort of like, oh my days,
Yeah.
But it fascinates me. So, so I went on a weekend CPD course to find out more about it. And it was great. It was fascinating. I may not use it a massive amount, but I've got it. I've got it in my toolbox. And yes, if somebody now came to me and said, oh, could you do it? I'd be like, okay, let me read up a bit more on that. Practice, but it's there. And I think that's great. If you don't mind a bit of variety, then dip your toe in, different CPDs.
CPD,
because you may think you want to go down one path, but kind of the universe might actually tell you something different. I always said I wouldn't work with children. Yeah.
What you're doing now, goodness me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did that happen?
But it happened, and it happened for a reason. Yeah. So but when I first started working with kids, I do have a certain criteria. I won't work with individuals under 11 and things like that, because I think that's too specialist. But I've got my office set up. I've got a cuddle club, a whole load of knitted, so, and we just have creative fun whilst doing the therapy. And I didn't think that I would enjoy that side, because I'm not particularly maternal. I am with my fur babies, but but it's something I absolutely love and adore. And working at the school is and I mean, when I told a couple of friends about it, they were like, you're going to do what now?
You're like, really?
You're working in a school? I was like, yeah, I know, it's really weird. But the things I'm going to be doing, working with the additional needs kids and helping them express their emotions and what they're feeling, what they're thinking. And if we can, I'm quite happy to draw that out any which way I can and get messy in the process. It's great fun.
And I think what we're doing as well is what we're all doing is you can use your skills in other things, can't you, in ways that you perhaps didn't foresee. So in terms of like interviewing, for instance, you're going to use similar skills, aren't you, as you do as a counsellor, questioning, you're listening, and so on. And you've got, and we've all got skills from previous careers that we've brought to this. And I think, it is super interesting. With you made me think when you said about the writing, the this might relate to what you guys were saying, because when I said therapist, and I'm a therapist and a writer. I write novels mainly. I write prose mostly. But I sort of had one of those aha moments at some point late on in my training, probably about the stage that you're at, Reva, where I thought, oh, I wonder if at one point I could bring these two things together.
Yeah.
If creative writing and therapy could work together, and of course it can,
yeah.
is the answer. But again, as you were saying, Kirsty, it took me a little while to sort of bring that to fruition. So I spent a few years sort of writing on this track and being a therapist on this track. I do a few other jobs as I do different things. But then a couple of years ago, I sort of created a program. I just brought it all together and started looking into writing for wellbeing, writing for wellness, and now I run workshops in that as well. So I use like both bits of my interest and my skills sort of come together. And it's taken a while to kind of get there, and I've realised then, oh yeah, that's the thing that I'm actually I wouldn't say most passionate about, because I love all of it, if I'm honest, but it does get me excited, and it's a really interesting area to work in. So to your point, Linda, in terms of like the poetry and stuff, there are definitely ways that you can bring that into therapeutic work, and ways in which you can bring the therapeutic work into writing as well. So they actually go really nicely together. But yeah,
it's funny really with the poetry with me, because I'd start writing my homework, because it all started whilst I was learning hypnotherapy. So I'd be starting a homework, and then it'd go to one side and I'd start writing poems. And I ended up with all these poems. I used to think, oh, Linda, stop writing poems and get on with your work. And I'd come into the class with poems. But really, when I look back, it was really part of my personal development. I was in these poems, and and when I look back at them, especially some of the first ones, really, they're just stories about what I was feeling inside. Yeah,
it's from your subconscious, isn't it, as well? I think very often it's all to do with subconscious, isn't it, and what's coming up for you. So especially I think when you're working in hypnotherapy and you're training in that, and obviously that's quite present for me because that's what I teach as well, but we do a lot about language, don't we, and words and images, and a lot of it is writing, isn't it? You spend a lot of time writing in that first year in that creative way, so I'm not surprised that that's kind of the way it came out for you. And certainly the best creative writing comes from quite a subconscious place, doesn't it? It's when you sort of just be free. And a lot of creative activities. It sounds like we're all kind of quite creative in different ways.
I think it's funny as well is that sort of when you just said about it, Linda, and you said, oh, I should be working, but then I'm doing all this poetry, and I'm just of the opinion, maybe I'm a bit of a hippie at heart, I don't know. Thankfully that was just a little bit before my time. But I think if something that powerful comes over you to do it, to write and things like that, you've just got to run with it. You've just got to go with it, because something in you is telling you that's what you need to do. And especially if it's creative like that, then there's something in you driving that, saying, no, I need to get this down, I need to do this. And I think a lot of people are all too quick to ignore their as I call it, the spidey senses, and I think people are all too quick to question it or to second guess it, and I just think, do you know what, if it's not harming you or anybody else, run with it, see where it takes you, because it's there for a reason. And I think one of the things that I got better at is trusting that spidey sense. If it goes off, then it's going off for a reason. Okay, so what's this about? Let me think about what this might be about. And if that's telling you to write, then it's and I think if there's a drive in you about it, then you're supposed to do it. It's meant to be, so just a little bit of thing from me there.
We've been into that, haven't we? Because I think we all start off as well. We've all talked a little bit about our journey and like where we've come from when we started. And you start off, don't you, with an idea, like a roadmap of what you think you'll do.
Very much so.
And then different things pop up, don't they? And you go, oh, maybe it won't be quite as I imagined, but that's all right. Like, it would be a really bad idea just to stick rigidly to that plan, wouldn't it, I think?
Yeah.
So it's about flexibility and openness to it.
when I started training, I definitely was all about the behavioural approaches and the CBT, and I thought I love that because I think in my mind I just wanted to go and fix things, and then obviously as you're training, and I actually went the complete opposite, and I'm very person-centred as a therapist, and a more humanistic approach. And then another thing that changed was during our training, identifying areas you wouldn't like to work in.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that came up for me was domestic abuse, because it's something I've experienced in the past, and I thought, no, I couldn't work with men who are perpetrators. And yet I do a massive amount of work now in that area, and I really love it. So, and it was something that, and it's a very genuine thing, and I'm very passionate about that side as well. And so it just shows you how much you do grow and change. Training, and the things that you think you can do, or the things you don't think you want to do, can end up completely 100. Well, is it 300?
180.
Oh yeah, that's about that.
A lot of degrees. Big term.
I'm not good at maths.
I need to ask my year 5 son. He's doing angles and stuff at the moment. He'd be able to tell us, wouldn't he?
That's where I started.
But yeah,
right, poetry, you think.
But it is interesting, isn't it? Because as you say, you think you're going to start out in a certain way, and Linda, what you're saying is resonating with me as a tutor, actually, as well as a practitioner. Because if I literally had £1 for every time somebody on the course has turned around and said, I thought I'd be CBT all the way. I thought I'd absolutely be all about but you know what? Actually, I really like person-centered. And as I say to them, but isn't this great? Because it gives you the affability to have it all in your toolbox rather than just specialising in the one. You know, and I kind of wonder, Reva, if you've found something similar to that, or you know, if you've had conversations.
I think as I've gone through the course and what have you, there's a few sort of like things I thought, oh yeah, I really quite like that. I'd like to try that and what have you. But I say, like Linda was saying, obviously she's experienced sort of, you know, abuse and things like that, and I sort of like thought, well, I have not necessarily abuse, but I thought other things, and I thought I'll steer away from that. Well, but actually, I think it would be quite handy to sort of deal with sort of things that you've actually fully experienced yourself, because you have a better understanding. So I can see, Linda. So I'm keeping my options open to sort of, you know, try out different things and what have you. I'm not going to just stick to one thing, you know.
I 100 hours as well. I did that with domestic violence victims, and I ended up I did double, treble the amount of hours. And so I was working with ladies and a few gents. I was working in a refuge, and even more so at that point, I was still training, and I thought, no, because obviously you're hearing this story from the victim, and there's this perpetrator, and yet when I went into private practice, I got an inquiry and I wasn't sure about it. I actually took it to supervision, and then and I did work in that area, and then it took off, and I've had quite a few. A lot. It's quite a big amount of my work dealing with that, especially with anger and things like that.
It's really funny you say that, Linda, because when I actually worked with a domestic abuse charity for just over a year, both as a trainer and then as a support worker as well, because again I wanted to learn more about it firsthand. It's the same as I've worked for additional needs adults in residential care as well, because I just think I don't want to limit myself, and if I want to know about it, I'll go and find out firsthand or something. So I mean, what you were saying about working with perpetrators, it's funny because for a while I ran a course as well and worked with a local authority where we work with perpetrators to help them understand why they behaved and their aspects. So, you know, it's about treat the cause, not the effect. So if we can take the causation out of it, you know, we don't have to deal with the actual, you know, the massive issues. But also on the flip side of that, obviously there's only so much you can do within, you know, organizations and things, but that was probably one of the biggest eye-openers with like domestic abuse advocates and things like that as well, and how the system works, but also how the system isn't geared to domestic abuse towards from men to women. And I found that massively open my eyes to how our system just can't quite get its head around that.
No.
and why the, you know, maybe that's some of the idea why there's less numbers of men that come forward about it. And you know, so again, you know, it's funny how we've kind of gone a bit parallel on some of our experience and what we do, you know. But it's fascinating.
It takes a lot of courage, I think, from the perpetrator, because I work in private practice, so they're not being sent to me. And saying I need help, and to me, it's so much courage to do that and to say there's something about me that I'm doing, and you know, and to face that that dark side. I personally think it takes so much courage to do that.
Totally agree. But is it something, because I say that quite a lot, because people that come and, you know, sort of in private practice and say, oh, I feel a failure because I'm having to ask for help. And I just say, but do you know what? I see an inner strength because you've asked for help, because you're saying that I'm not willing to let this continue, but I know I can't, I need a little bit of help to get there. Have you any idea of the strength that you need to do that? And the amount of people that just sit there and go, didn't think of it like that. And once you get to that one, then for me, I'm like doing a little inner dance, you know, that I'm very calm and collected on the outside, but inside I'm doing a little jig. So I think, yes, right, okay, that's the first one. You know, and I think that's the thing as well to you know, during supervision and your own practice and stuff, you know, to allow yourself to turn around and say to yourself, do you know what, I'm doing a good job here.
It's really important. Prize yourself on what you're achieving.
Obviously not sat there with the client going, oh yes, I'm great. No. But, you know, self-reflection and saying to you, and you know, when your supervisor says, do you know what, you're doing a great job there, you're absolutely getting everything you need to do, and you know, and it's okay to sit there and go, yeah, thanks, you know, because I think we can be quite hard on ourselves as well, I think. So we need to, you know, take the wins, I think is the term I normally use. So
take the wins, I like that.
Take the wins.
We've got quite high standards for ourselves, haven't we? I think listening to all of you guys this evening, we've got a lot in common, as we've found out.
I know,
in our areas of interest, which is amazing. And I think we're also very, I suppose the message I'm hearing as well is to be really open-minded and to be kind of, which we all are anyway, aren't we? As I say, we choose expression because we're like that, but to be open to whatever comes your way, because we've got lots of potential routes we can take and a big difference we can make to people as well, perhaps in unexpected places. So
what an unexpected place I ended up, because purely down to obviously being trained as a psychotherapist, was in Glastonbury as I was the head one of the welfare team for the recycling crew. So it wasn't for the public, it was for the recycling crew. Obviously this year it got cancelled, so it didn't go this year, but it was worth it to go to Glastonbury.
What a great gig!
Everything,
well done.
everything's there, and it's great. So That was the most exciting thing that's ever happened from it.
Excellent.
Townsend, like I've seen it as a gift. I was getting a gift back.
Absolutely, we need to talk about that more. Reminded me when we said about the things that come your way by virtue of just being qualified and being in this line of work. And it reminds me, funnily enough, it links me back to Reva, because I got asked to do some training, because I work in bereavement care as well. I work 3 days a week specifically on bereavement, which again is an area I didn't really plan to work in, but there you go, you end up where things sort of lead you, and I love it. And I got asked to do some bereavement training for an emergency vets practice. For staff, not the vet staff, but the reception staff, and the support staff, because of all the like traumatic endings.
They didn't really know how to speak to people who were in that real acute grief of having just lost their pet. And I went and did that because I had a mix of like corporate background where I was a trainer, and grief work and counselling experience, which about understanding what your like unique gifts are, aren't they, and where they which can be quite varied. And you just think, oh yeah, that does suit me. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's been great chatting to you all this evening. We're going to wrap things and you
time, aren't we? But I feel like I could talk to you all night, and we have to do a sequel to this, because we've got a lot we've got a lot more to chat about, but we'll have to keep in touch, won't we? And
that's a good idea. That'd be a good idea.
But I'd like that. That'd be very nice.
Like we've all got little links where we can maybe help each other as well, which is another key takeout, hopefully, for people watching this, is that actually you've got fantastic networks here.
And make use of them as well, because I think formal clinical supervision is great, but your peer supervision is equally as great, for not only just for networking, but just to be able to sort of go, I've got a bit of an issue, and I don't really formalize it, but I kind of like to talk about it. So networking and for obviously business purposes, and not talking about cases obviously, but just the support. And I think that's really important, because as experienced you are, we all need support. But so I think it's great to to do things like this, because as you say, it kind of opens up our network as well.
Great. We can definitely help each other. So keep in touch. So I want to hear from Reva when you qualify. I want to hear from Kirsty when you've published your books.
That'd be good.
Your poetry and doing something therapeutic with that, I feel. And we're all going to keep in touch with each other about trauma and EMDR and all the things that we've got in common. And on the last note, in my current novel that I'm writing, Reva, would you believe my main character is a vet nurse?
Is it?
No, what?
Goodness me.
It's just to round us off. I feel like our theme should have been coincidences rather than the stuff life.
The universe, how does it work?
Giving us signs.
Absolutely.
It's been amazing. Thanks so much. So nice to actually see you all in person, albeit over Zoom. Not just on an email. So thank you. And I hope everybody watching has really enjoyed it. Like and subscribe, don't forget, to the Chrysalis channel. And I must tell you about the next webcast, which has the intriguing title of 10,000 Hours. So look out for that one. I'm going to stop things there. So we're all going to say ta-ra and goodbye, and thanks everybody for contributing.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.